woman's butt. Are you sure? Because it looked like you were staring at that woman.
I think, it's so relatable and it's so family driven, and I think people miss that in television nowadays.
Tahj Mowry's past just resurfaced, and what really happened to him goes way deeper than people ever realized.
Smart guy.
Don't you know smoking can cause lung cancer, heart disease?
Tahj was a kid who handled the spotlight like a grown man, and for a minute, he had the sitcom fame, the Disney Channel love, and that theme song stuck in everybody's head.
Another slice of the life, and that's the T.J. Henderson, super intelligent.
But then, just like that, he vanished. By 2000, the show ended, and the smart guy we all watched grow up, he disappeared from the screen and from our lives. No scandals, no arrests, just gone. So what really happened to Tahj Mowry? Tahj Mowry wasn't born into fame, but he was born for it. His story begins in Hawaii, where his parents were stationed in the U.S. Army. Discipline, structure, and routine weren't optional in the Mowry household. His mother, Darlene, wasn't just supportive, she was sharp. His father, Timothy, ran a tight ship. There were 4 Mowry kids, Tia, Tamara, Tahj, and their younger brother, Tavior. But even as a toddler, Tahj stood out. He'd watch commercials on TV, memorize them line for line, then act them out in the living room like he was auditioning for a role he hadn't even gotten yet.
I've always wanted to do it. My parents weren't forcing me, or they weren't stage parents. They saw talent in me and were like, all right, we're gonna guide you this way.
It didn't take long. When the family moved to Texas, Tahj started doing local auditions. Then came Los Angeles, and everything changed. The minute he got to Hollywood, the bookings started rolling in. He booked so many national spots, McDonald's, Charmin, Pringles, Manwich, that casting directors literally told him to sit out the next round so other kids could get a chance.
How many commercials did you do?
It was like
50, you guys. He did over, yeah. He was the commercial. He was the Manwich kid.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Manwich sandwiches? Yes. He was the McDonald's kid. Do you remember the song?
At one point, they stopped. They didn't let me go on auditions for McDonald's anymore because
he booked them all.
But Tahj wasn't just a face. He had timing. He had range. He could switch from slapstick to heartwarming in one scene. And that's when casting agents knew he wasn't just a commercial kid. He was sitcom material. He made appearances on Who's the Boss, Out All Night, and Sonic the Hedgehog. But his real breakout came in Full House, where he played Teddy, Michelle Tanner's lovable little friend. From there, it was over. Tahj was on a roll. Disney took notice, Warner Brothers took notice, and the big one, Smart Guy, came directly from Tahj himself. That's right. The show wasn't handed to him. He pitched the idea himself. At 9 years old, he wanted his own show. He didn't just want to be the little brother forever. And he wasn't. He became the star.
Dear Diary, today I finally bought those black lace panties.
T.J. Henderson was the role that defined his generation. Funny, brilliant, awkward, fearless. The kind of black kid TV hadn't shown before, and Tahj embodied it all. But what no one saw coming, not the fans, not his sisters, not even Hollywood, was that one day the smart guy would step back and let it all go. For most child stars, the biggest struggle is getting in the door. For Tahj Mowry, it was walking out of it. He had everything a young actor could want: a hit show, adoring fans, consistent work, and a clean reputation in an industry where that was rare. He wasn't just surviving Hollywood, he was thriving in it. But just when it looked like he was set up for long-term superstardom, Tahj did something no one expected. He stopped.
Took a break during high school just to go to
and-
prom,
yeah.
play sports, be a child, a kid.
Yeah.
And I think when it allowed me to find my passion again with this job and the entertainment industry and all that, and it just helped me appreciate it.
That wasn't a PR excuse. That was the truth. While other child stars were falling apart in public, Tahj was sitting on the bleachers at his high school football practice, figuring out who he was without the lights without the scripts, and without the pressure. And let's be clear, this wasn't just a short hiatus. Tahj made a full pivot. He traded camera flashes for playbooks. He became a student athlete, focused on touchdowns instead of tapings. His goal? To take football seriously and possibly turn it into a new career. He earned a scholarship to Savannah State University, then transferred to the University of Wyoming, then to Pepperdine.
Went to Savannah State and then stopped playing football and went to Pepperdine for a little bit, and that was too hard.
That wasn't him being lazy. It was him being honest. School had structure, sure, but it didn't have soul. And for someone like Tahj, who had spent most of his childhood expressing himself through performance, that void was too big to ignore. But even while he was stepping away from acting publicly, he never fully left entertainment behind. He kept his voice sharp, literally, by playing Wade Lode, the tech-savvy sidekick, in Disney's Kim Possible. It was an easy gig, no cameras, no set, just a mic and a quiet studio. It wasn't about being famous, it was about staying connected to what he loved. Still, for a lot of people, it looked like the beginning of a fall-off. Tahj Mowry, the face of family television, was now a quiet college student with no headlines, no interviews, and no real explanation. But looking back, that time away was exactly what he needed. Because unlike so many others who burn out and spiral, Tahj came back different, wiser, stronger, and more focused than ever. He didn't return to reclaim fame. He came back to choose what it would look like, on his terms. There were no splashy interviews, no big comeback press tour. He just slowly began to reappear. Guest roles, voice work, a few film credits. Nothing too flashy, nothing too desperate.
It allowed me to find my passion again, and stepping back allowed people to miss me a little bit. It allowed me to grow up and come back as an older adult, you know? So I think it all helped.
He was moving quietly, but he wasn't lost. What's wild is that in an industry where most child actors end up defined by their scandals, Tahj Mowry was defined by his decision to walk away. And when he returned, Hollywood barely recognized him. But that didn't matter, because Tahj wasn't looking for approval anymore. He was looking for purpose. And what came next would test that resolve in a way he never saw coming. Not through fame, but through a scandal that started with just one tweet. By the time 2011 rolled around, Tahj Mowry had done the impossible. He'd left Hollywood on his own terms, and come back without drama, without a meltdown, and without becoming a punchline. But X, then Twitter, didn't care about that. Social media doesn't remember your childhood resume. It only sees your last post. And in 2011, Tahj Mowry, usually known for being calm, sweet, and drama-free, gave the internet something it didn't expect. He snapped. It started with an earthquake, literally. That year, a rare East Coast tremor shook parts of Virginia, even damaging buildings near the White House. Twitter exploded with panic. And in the middle of all that, Tahj Mowry jumped in with a sarcastic tweet poking fun at how dramatic people were being about the quake. At first, it seemed harmless, just a former child star cracking jokes. But some people, especially his black fans, weren't laughing. Tahj didn't back down. Instead, he doubled down, then tripled down. Tahj, the clean-cut Disney kid, had just accused black people of being jealous. Of his hair? And then, as if that wasn't enough, he went further. Much further. He clapped back at a male critic by saying the guy was just mad because he wanted to be Beyoncé. That wasn't just a joke. That was a full-on online spiral. And fans were blindsided. Up until that moment, Tahj had kept it professional, family-friendly. The smart guy who never slipped. But here he was, going off in public, firing off tweets like grenades, dragging critics and sounding like someone nobody recognized. The backlash was immediate. People flooded his mentions. Some fans begged him to log off. Others roasted him relentlessly. Even former supporters started calling him arrogant, out of touch, and self-hating. It wasn't just one bad tweet. It was a full-blown moment. And in 2011, when cancel culture was just starting to take shape, moments like that didn't disappear. The damage was done. Tahj deleted some of the tweets, but by then, screenshots had already gone viral. And just like that, his reputation took a hit. The sweet little smart guy became another celebrity cautionary tale. Not because he got arrested, not because he was spiraling on drugs, but because he let his ego talk too loud and too fast on a public platform. He didn't release a statement. He didn't apologize. He just faded back into the shadows. And for a while, it looked like the internet had moved on, but Tahj didn't hide. He regrouped. He recalibrated. And by 2014, just 3 years after his Twitter rant, he did something unexpected again. He stepped into the spotlight, not for himself, but to help someone else. That someone? Justin Bieber. At the time, Bieber was spiraling. DUI, drag racing, lawsuits, tabloid chaos. "I know my friends," he shared. "I know they're real ones. Somebody in his circle should have said, maybe you shouldn't get in that car right now." It wasn't shade. It was a mirror. Tahj had been there, not in a jail cell, but in the eye of a PR storm. And he wanted Bieber to learn from it. But what stood out most wasn't the advice. It was how Tahj delivered it. Calm, humble, grounded. Like someone who had already taken the fall, learned from it, and found his footing again. That moment proved something. Tahj Mowry wasn't invincible. He wasn't perfect, but he was still growing, still learning, still that smart guy. Just a little older, a little wiser, and a lot more aware of how fast things can fall apart. His Twitter moment didn't define him, but it revealed something he'd have to confront again later. The pressure to live up to a polished, perfect image, when real life is anything but. And soon, life would throw him one of his hardest tests yet. Not on social media, not on TV, but in his personal life, where love, heartbreak, and grief would come crashing together in the most devastating way possible. You see, before the headlines, before the tragedy, before the tributes, there was just a boy and a girl on the set of Smart Guy.
You see Titanic? Yeah. Pretty great movie, huh? Yeah.
That's where Tahj Mowry met Naya Rivera. He was the star of the show. She was a young guest star with a presence far beyond her years. They were just kids, but something clicked. What started as a teenage fling quietly grew into a years-long relationship. One that stretched on and off from 2000 to 2004. There were no paparazzi, no red carpet drama. It was just them, growing up together, figuring it out, the way real relationships do. And according to Tahj, Naya wasn't just some Hollywood crush, she was his first love. Their bond went deeper than most people knew. Even when they broke up, they didn't drift apart. They stayed close. Naya was still welcomed by the Mowry family. She was still tight with Tia and Tamara. And Tahj, he never spoke about her with anything but respect. But it wasn't all fairy tales. In her 2016 memoir, Sorry Not Sorry, Naya opened up about the relationship and dropped a few bombs of her own. According to her, one of the breakups happened because Tahj told her point blank that he wanted to date someone on his financial level. Yes, really. Naya didn't seem bitter about it, but she didn't sugarcoat it either. It was a real moment. One of those things you can only say when you're young, insecure, or still figuring yourself out. But even after that, they kept trying. Over the years, they gave their relationship not one, not two, but 3 chances. It never quite worked, but the love stayed. Then came July 2010. News broke that Naya Rivera had gone missing during a boating trip with her young son on Lake Piru. The search lasted for days. The entire industry, fans, friends, and family, waited for answers. When her body was found, The grief was immediate. But for Tahj, it was personal. He posted an emotional Instagram tribute that stopped people in their tracks. He captioned it, "My first love, my first everything. I'll love you forever." Those words weren't PR. They weren't for likes. They were raw, unfiltered, and painful. And just like that, the world saw another side of Tahj Mowry. The side that loved hard. The side that lost deeply. The side that didn't have all the answers, but knew how to sit with the pain anyway. Naya's death hit differently for everyone. For some, it was losing a star from Glee. For others, it was a reminder of how fleeting life can be. But for Tahj, it was the loss of someone who helped define his youth. And while fans mourned Naya, Tahj found himself facing another chapter of speculation. Not about his grief, but about his identity. And once again, it all started on social media. When you grow up in the spotlight, your life isn't just yours. Every move, every post, every friendship, it all becomes fuel for fan theories. And for Tahj Mowry, one question has followed him for years. Is he gay? It started in 2015, quietly. Tahj liked a few Instagram photos. Nothing wild, nothing explicit, just a handful of shirtless gym selfies from a male fitness model named Andrew. To most people, it meant nothing. But to internet detectives, it meant everything. Speculation exploded. And the craziest part? Tahj didn't say a word. He didn't deny it, didn't confirm it, didn't even flinch. And in the age of cancel culture, identity politics, and social media obsession, his silence only made things louder. Some fans praised him. Others pressed harder. Was he protecting his privacy? Was he afraid of backlash? Or was he just not ready to talk? The truth is, we still don't know, because Tahj never gave the internet what it wanted, an answer. And maybe that's the answer right there. In a world that demands labels, Tahj chose silence. Not because he was hiding, but because maybe he just didn't owe anyone an explanation. But that didn't stop the rumors. Every photo with a male friend was scrutinized. Every interview was analyzed. And every time he showed love to his sisters, his family, or even his male co-stars, someone somewhere added fuel to the fire. Let's be real. If you're a man in the public eye and you keep your love life private, people will talk. And if you're a black man, multiply that by 10. For years, black celebrities have faced this, the pressure to prove their straightness, to publicly parade relationships just to quiet speculation. And Tahj never played that game. After Naya Rivera, Tahj didn't step out with a new girlfriend. He didn't pose for magazine covers or flirt on talk shows. He just stayed quiet. And that silence, it created a vacuum, one that fans filled with assumptions. He didn't say that about his sexuality, but it applies. Because at the end of the day, Tahj Mowry isn't a tabloid. He's not a meme, he's a person. And people are more complicated than a headline. Here's what we do know. Tahj has spoken openly about love, about heartbreak, about loss. He's called Naya his first everything. He's expressed admiration and support for all communities, LGBTQ+ included. But when it comes to who he's dating, he stays quiet. And maybe, just maybe, that's his choice to protect what little privacy he still has. Because let's face it, Tahj Mowry grew up with millions watching. Every stage of his life was broadcast, from teddy bear tea parties on Full House to first kisses on Smart Guy, from his Twitter rant to his mourning of Naya to gym selfies that broke the algorithm. He's seen what happens when you share too much, so maybe now he's learned to keep some things sacred. Is Tahj Mowry gay? Is he straight? Is he somewhere in between? The real question is, does it even matter? Because whether he ever speaks on it or not, he's still the same smart, thoughtful, multi-talented man fans grew up watching. And he's not hiding. He's just choosing not to perform. And that might be the smartest thing he's ever done. Tahj Mowry's career could have ended a dozen different ways. He could have been the cautionary tale, the washed-up child actor with a mugshot, the forgotten star clinging to old glory, the viral meme who lost everything in 140 characters. But he wasn't. Because through every setback, every rumor, every personal tragedy, Tahj held on to one thing that most people overlooked: his faith.
And I think as a follower of Christ, the main thing that we're called to do is surrender. By doing that, we gain life. I'm at a point in my life where I realize, and I'm so joyful in the surrender, because the more I surrender to Christ, the happier I am, the more.
He's not flashy about it. He doesn't post sermons or quote scripture on every Instagram story. But when Tahj speaks about what keeps him grounded, it always circles back to his relationship with God. You could see it in how he handled the industry, how he didn't retaliate when the rumors flew, how he didn't spiral when X turned on him, how he didn't try to capitalize on Naya's death. He just stood still, anchored, focused, calm. And for him, that strength didn't come from fame. It came from surrender. He's talked about it often, how his spiritual journey isn't about preaching, but about presence, choosing joy, choosing humility, choosing balance in a world that profits from chaos. While other former child stars went viral for meltdowns, Tahj went viral for wearing a "What Would Jesus Do" wristband, the same one fans noticed on Smart Guy decades ago. And it wasn't just performative. This was a kid who came from a grounded, disciplined military household. A family that prayed together, stayed together, and made sure every one of them remembered where they came from and why it mattered. His mother, Darlene, didn't just manage his career. She managed his character. She was his firewall, his compass, his reminder that no amount of fame could replace purpose. His sisters always had his back through every role, every loss, every awkward headline. Whether it was defending him publicly or just calling to check in, they never let Tahj drift too far. And now, he's doing the same for others. He's not just acting anymore. He's creating, writing screenplays, producing stories that matter. In 2021, he dropped an indie drama called Welcome Matt, where he played a man battling trauma-induced agoraphobia. It wasn't a flashy role, but it was deep, quiet, real, the kind of performance that reminds you, this guy can act. He's not just TJ Henderson anymore. He's a grown man with layers, and he's not stopping there. He co-wrote a psychological horror movie, a paranormal revenge story that's nothing like the bubbly kid comedies that made him famous. He even released an R&B album in 2015, proving that his mom's choir background rubbed off after all. And when he's not acting or creating, he's being Uncle Tahj, spoiling his niece and nephew, cooking for them, laughing with them, teaching them what he was taught. It's simple. Tahj Mowry isn't chasing viral fame anymore. He's not auditioning for our attention. He's living with purpose, guided by family, rooted in faith, and shaped by everything he's survived. And maybe that's what really makes him a smart guy. Not the IQ, not the catchphrases, not the fame, but the wisdom to know who he is, even when the world tries to define him. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.